I was a new hire at the law firm. I stayed late to help a janitor fix the copy machine. He turned out to be the senior partner's brother. The senior partner fired me at 9:47 a.m. on a Wednesday, not for helping his brother, for what I found while helping his brother. The difference matters, legally speaking, which is ironic considering what Lawrence Templeton spent 30 years teaching associates about the law. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to the night I stayed late to fix a copy machine with a man I thought was just the janitor. His name was Dennis Templeton, though I didn't know the last name for 3 weeks. I just knew him as Dennis, the night custodian who asked too many questions about contracts and smiled like he was in on a joke nobody else understood. I'd been at Templeton and Sterling for exactly 2 months when I first met Dennis. The firm occupied floors 12 through 15 of the Garrison building downtown, all glass and steel, and the kind of expensive minimalism that screamed old money trying to look modern. I was 26, fresh out of law school with loans that made my stomach hurt, and a salary that barely covered a studio apartment in a neighborhood where I heard gunshots twice a week. But it was Templeton and Sterling. You didn't turn down Templeton and Sterling. The firm handled corporate acquisitions, patent litigation, estate planning for the kind of families who had portraits of their ancestors in the Smithsonian. Lawrence Templeton himself had argued before the Supreme Court twice, won both times. The man was a legend, the kind of lawyer other lawyers studied. I was assigned to his division, corporate acquisitions, working under a senior associate named Philip Greaves, who had the personality of a stapler and the empathy of a parking meter. My typical day started at 7 a.m. and ended whenever Philip decided it ended, which was usually around 9 p.m., sometimes later. I reviewed contracts, researched case law, drafted memos that Philip would mark up with red ink like he was grading a failing student's exam, then redrafted them. The work was tedious, exhausting, and exactly what I'd signed up for. You paid your dues as a junior associate. Everyone knew that. You worked the ungodly hours, you ate cold pizza at your desk, you sacrificed your 20s so that maybe, possibly, in 10 years, you'd make partner, and it would all be worth it. That was the deal. I met Dennis on a Thursday in October, around 10:30 at night. Most people had gone home. The support staff left at 6. The senior partners usually cleared out by 8 unless they had a major deal closing. Only the junior associates stayed late, scattered across the 14th floor like prisoners in well-lit cells. I was making copies of a 300-page contract, standing at the massive printer copier scanner machine that probably cost more than my car when it jammed. Not just a normal jam where you open the drawer and pull out the crumpled page. This was a catastrophic jam, the kind where the machine started making angry beeping sounds and flashing error codes I'd never seen before. I tried the obvious fixes, turned it off and on, opened every drawer and panel I could find. Nothing worked. The thing just kept beeping at me like I'd personally offended it. I was standing there, seriously considering kicking it, when a voice behind me said, "You're going about that wrong." I turned around and saw an older man, maybe mid-60s, wearing navy blue coveralls and pushing a cleaning cart. He had gray hair that needed a trim, deep lines around his eyes, and this expression like he'd seen people struggle with this exact machine 1,000 times before. Quote 1, he said, walking over. Quote 2, he didn't wait for permission, just moved past me and started opening panels I hadn't known existed. His hands moved with the confidence of someone who'd fixed this machine many times before, reaching into the guts of it and pulling out a mangled piece of paper from a compartment I never would have found. The machine stopped beeping immediately. "There you go," he said, closing the panels. "Should work fine now. Just remember, no more than 200 sheets at a time in the main tray. If you need to copy something longer, use the bypass tray on the left side." I stared at him. "How do you know which desk I have?" He smiled, and there was something knowing in it, something that made me feel like I was missing the punchline. "I clean it every night. You're the one who leaves coffee rings on the coaster instead of on the desk. I appreciate that." "Oh, right, thank you. I'm Michael, by the way. Michael Reeves." I extended my hand, and he shook it. His grip was firm, calloused, the kind of hand that had done physical work for decades. "Dennis," he said, "nice to meet you officially." He started to push his card away, but I said, "Wait, seriously, thank you. I would have been here until midnight trying to figure that out." Dennis stopped and turned back. "You're here until midnight anyway, aren't you?" It wasn't really a question. He gestured at my desk, visible through the glass walls, buried under stacks of paper and sticky notes. I felt a little uncomfortable that he'd been reading the materials on my desk, but I couldn't exactly say that to the janitor. Quote 13. Quote 14. Dennis said, and something in the way he said the name made me pause. Not Mr. Templeton, not the senior partner, just Lawrence, casual and familiar. I asked. Dennis's expression shifted, and what happened next changed everything. Full story is linked below or on my channel.